14 WILI and 95.3 FM presents Hometown Threads, a closer look at our community and the people that make it go. Every week, you'll hear uplifting stories from our local businesses and our neighbors. Now, here's our host for Hometown Threads, Keith C. Rice.
Welcome into episode 87 of Hometown Threads on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM, Willimantic Today Facebook, WILI Radio YouTube channel, Spectrum 192. You could view the show on many platforms, but you can only listen to it in one place every Tuesday, 5:05 to 5:30 here on WILI. It's Keith C. Rice. Big thanks to Liberty Bank, our fine sponsor. It's been bringing us Hometown Threads. Well, we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary. I should say happy anniversary to my engineer, J. Matt Rupar, too.
Happy anniversary, buddy.
2 years, man. Back on November the 9th. It just on my Facebook. Thank God for Facebook memories, you know. So it's been 2 years. A lot of great guests. We're about to meet our guest for episode 87 in just a sec. But Liberty Bank, B Community Kind, with 3 great local locations. Of course, across the street from the radio station at 679 Main Street. West Main Street, Willimantic, managed by my wonderful wife, Marianne. It's right over there in Gateway Commons. And then, of course, Route 195 in Mansfield, Liberty Bank, be Community Kind. J. Matt Rupar, if you'd be so kind and say hello to the fine folks.
Hello.
I wonder how many episodes I've been saying that, because that's like, I do that on purpose. You
do?
That's part of the beginning of the show.
I like it.
When I hand J. Matt Rupar the Liberty mug, and would you be so kind and say hello to the fine folks. So, also, one more sponsor, our podcast sponsor, WILI.com. Got to give love to Mark Tripoli and Tripoli Pro Clean Services. You can go to WILI.com not only to be able to listen to Hometown Threads, but all our great, wonderful talk programming, including getting caught up on the Wayno shows, are available at WILI.com. All right, now we got that all out of the way. Time for episode 87. You see our sign back here, Home of the Champions. We're bringing in a champ right here, Coach Paul Martineau. Go ahead, show off the ring right off the bat. For people on the radio, they can't see this, but that is a serious when you walked in the studios to talk about bling, that looks like a Major League Baseball World Series or an NBA championship ring.
It's pretty big.
Welcome in, Coach Marty.
Thank you.
And that's a beautiful ring. So that's the 2022 Wyndham Boys State Championship ring. And boy, what a run that was. We'll get into all that. And you've been through so much in this community and growing up playing baseball, and you're a Willimantic native, correct?
Yep.
And how long have you been coaching Wyndham Boys basketball?
This is my 16th year.
Is it 16 years? I didn't know it was that long.
I started as a freshman coach for many years when Coach Strand was there, and then Coach Strand retired and Coach Gilday took over. I stepped up to JV, and then unfortunately Coach Gilday had some health issues, and I took over in 2021, which was COVID.
It was still COVID? And
it was. We only played a 10-game season.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and we had to take mask breaks every 4 minutes, and we didn't have many kids on the team, so we played a 10-game regular season with a 1 playoff.
That's right.
That was it.
So that was kind of your opening act as head coach, right?
Yeah, it was not really a good way to start, I guess you could say.
Thrown into the fire.
Yeah, and the bench chairs had to be spaced out. It was different. No fans at the games, and
that's right. You know what? We saw it on the college and pro level, watching on TV. Remember, I think baseball had the what do they call the paper or the stick people in the stands. That was so odd. But I forgot high school when they kind of slowly got back into it. Still no fans were allowed. Yeah, what was that? That had to be kind of an eerie atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually good though to get the kids involved, because everybody obviously with the pandemic didn't know what it was going to correlate into, and just getting kids participating and active, it was a good thing. And unfortunately it trickled into the following year.
That's
because
right.
we had to wear the masks in 2022, and we got blown out our first 2 games. We had half of our team out with COVID, and we played the same 2 teams a week or 2 later, and we beat them pretty handily with our full squad.
That's right. Both teams were wearing, so the kids were wearing masks while they were playing.
Yeah. Actually, when we went to Mohegan for the ECC finals against Stonington, and we lost by 3, we were there early, shooting around, and Stonington came in, and all their kids didn't have masks on. So I immediately grabbed my phone from the floor at Mohegan, and I text Zach, Konopka, and I said, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
And he goes, you know what? Just tell your kids don't wear masks. So that was the first real game that we didn't wear the masks. But to be honest, in 2022, a lot of the kids had it down here.
Down by the chin.
Yeah.
The chin guard. It was down to the chin.
Yeah.
But well, that was kind of a wild and crazy times. It feels like so long ago.
Yeah.
But all right, as we do top of the show, a lot of people know Paul Martineau around here. By the way, how we kind of set this up was Coach showed up at Trolley Pub Trivia the other night. I'm like, hey, look who what. And then we got talking for a while, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, he'd be a great Hometown Threads guest. So, and the last time I had talked to Coach Paul Martineau on the radio was when Wayno was away on the road for UConn. You guys just had that buzzer beater win in the semis, if I'm not mistaken. You're on your way to the championship, and I'm on the bandwagon. I quickly email. I got to get Coach's email, so I'm digging through. I quickly lined it up, and we had you via phone call in, and then I knew I was on my way down to Mohegan Sun for that championship game. But here we are. We got him in studio this time, Coach Paul Martineau. So you grew up around here playing all kinds of sports. We know you're a longtime baseball standout. Tell us about your younger days growing up here in Willimantic.
Well, you know, it was a different time, obviously. Main Street was much different. I pretty much grew up at the YMCA, and I was fortunate enough to have people like Ron Pires.
God rest his soul. Great
teach
guy.
me. Coach Risley, two people that have recently passed away. I actually went to Coach Holowati's baseball camp when it was at Eastern when I was a little kid.
Did you?
Yeah.
So Holowati got a good look at you at a young age.
Yeah, and you know, I played Little League, and it's just unfortunate. I grew up over by Legion Field, and we used to play all day, and there was 8 teams, I think, 8 inner city teams, and now I guess there's like 2 or 3 teams.
It's, as you said, it's much different these days. Not in a bad way, but it's just like, I grew up kind of in your generation. Wait, how old are you again?
I just turned 60.
Okay, let's put you on the spot. I'm 52, but we're in the same age range.
Yep.
And you're right. I grew up playing Willimantic Little League. There was many more teams. Times have changed.
Yep.
Not knocking anybody over there because everyone's doing a great job, doing the best they can. But yeah, kids are doing other things these days. Video games. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, there was more teams, more kids out there playing, and definitely was.
And Wyndham High School in general, when I went there, I don't know about when you were there, but we had like almost 1,600 kids. We were a double L school. I didn't play varsity sports until I was a junior, and that's pretty much how it was.
Are you serious?
Everybody was like that. There was very, very few sophomores who played any varsity sports.
Wow. Why? So you just... how is that, though? I don't get that. You're so talented.
Well, because there was my graduating class, for example.
Oh,
I had
the
like 365 kids in my
classes
senior
were so low.
class.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you were pretty talented, though, at a young age.
Yeah, I mean, I played some JV as a freshman, but as a sophomore, it was very hard for anyone to make... I mean, obviously, football, they need more players. There were some sophomores that would play varsity football, but back in those days, you had to play JV until your junior year most of the time for almost everybody.
Wow. So, okay, we know we're going to get into baseball, too, but you're mainly baseball and basketball, right?
Yep.
Didn't play football, did you?
That was actually one of my favorite sports when I was a kid, but then when I got to Wyndham, Coach Ferrigno wanted me to be a tight end, and I think they threw the ball 6 times in my 4 years. So I was like, I don't want to just block. I don't want to block. So,
looking back at it, though, did you really want to play football? I mean, you were mainly baseball, basketball, but did a little part of you feel like I could
yeah,
be a big guy?
Well, Coach Ferrigno used to call me out of homeroom every day to try to talk me into play, and I felt I just wanted to work on 2 sports.
Yeah.
Me and my friend Randy Luciani, I'm sure you.
Oh, I remember that name.
He played football his freshman year, just like I did. I was a couple years ahead of him, but we just decided in the fall we were going to get ready for basketball, and we also took a lot of cuts, BP, in the fall. So we kind of did 2 things in the fall. Instead of playing football, we worked on our basketball and weightlifting and some batting practice.
So, yeah, you and Luciani, did I say it right?
Yep.
You guys both came up together pretty much, kind of, right?
He was 2 grades behind me, but only 1. See, the thing is, I was the youngest person in my class. So growing up playing youth sports, most of my friends that I played with and hung out with were a grade or 2 behind me, because I turned 17 in January of my senior year and graduated, and I was by far the youngest in
Wow.
my class. And that's because my mother put me in school because I was a big kid at 4 years old, and I turned 5 in January. So
How tall were you with that?
I was a pretty big kid, and my mom just felt I could handle myself, so I went to school early. And so growing up, all of my teammates and friends, Stan Harris, these guys were all like a year to 9 months younger than me, but we played together. But they were a grade or two, younger than me.
So let's get right. You went through Kramer, obviously, right?
I went to Kramer. Yep.
Probably played some sports there, but now let's
There
get
was no Kramer didn't have any sports back then. That's why we used to go to the YMCA.
Oh, that's right, the Y.
Coach Pires had a team for us. He used to take us to tournaments. We
That's
played like
right.
35 games.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why. Well, I know actually. I'm a few years behind you, but Kramer eventually did have basketball. But not when you were going there.
No,
Interesting.
there was nothing. No middle school sports when I went to Kramer.
So Coach Pires,
Yep.
the late Coach Pires, and the Y really prepared you for Wyndham.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, so now you enter Wyndham. There was no varsity sports for you till junior year.
Right.
And think about the competition that you got to work out with, though, or got to
Yeah.
practice against.
Yeah.
Talk a little about that.
I mean, as a freshman for baseball, I was on the JV team, and I kind of split time with JV and freshman. I played freshman football, basketball. I played on the freshman team for. We used to actually play our games and practice at Kramer back then.
Wow.
Freshman. And then my sophomore year, I played JV baseball. There was a lot of seniors on the baseball team. I kind of felt maybe I could have been playing first base over the person that was there, but they kind of
Can we
didn't.
mention the person?
They didn't do that back then
No, I
so
don't.
much. So I just waited my turn. And then basketball, I played JV and I suited up varsity quite often as a sophomore. And then my junior year, I started every game basketball, every game baseball. I was captain of the basketball team.
Coach Paul Martineau's with us. Episode 87 of Hometown Threads, brought to you by Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind, on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM and Willimantic Today Facebook. So I got to ask you, you're very good in both sports. When did it hit you that you said, okay, well, I got to choose one or the other? Or did you want to keep going? Because we know we're going to get into how far you took baseball, but in your mind, back in still your high school days, what did you think you were better, or what did you like more?
Well, I love basketball, obviously, still to this day. I was just baseball came kind of easy to me through Little League. I hit like 10 to 15 home runs a year, and it was just something I was naturally good at. But I just loved basketball so much. When I got to my senior year, I kind of knew that 6'3", small forward wasn't going to be going too many places, and I was going to play at Eastern. But it was very difficult to.
Was Switchenko basketball coach
Yeah.
when you were there? Okay.
And his brother John was my high school coach.
That's right.
Yeah. So
You had connections there.
Yeah. And I didn't think I could tackle two sports. And
So this is where, when you graduate Wyndham, now you know, okay, I've got to go baseball.
Yep.
And you really put the pedal to the metal. And tell us, what was it like graduating Wyndham and knowing that, actually, let's back up even further. Are there any good stories about being recruited by Holowati? Are there any good stories about that?
I tell everybody, and they don't believe it to this day, but back in those days, we had professional scouts at our Legion
Oh, right. Talk
and
about
high
that.
school games.
That's right. You played Legion, too.
Yeah, we went to the state finals 2 years in a row. When I played baseball when I was 15, 16, 17 back then, there was professional scouts at a handful of them at every game we played pretty much. If it was in Jewett City or at Eastern, because that's where we played.
Right.
And so I had gotten some looks from teams,
Like who?
the Orioles, the Blue Jays.
It had to be exciting.
Yeah, but what happened was my senior years were not good to me. My senior year of high school, I was hitting like 600 and I got mono.
Oh.
And I missed half of the season. So
Oh, my God.
I went to Eastern, played fall baseball, never played JV at Eastern, which the JV program back then was really terrific because we actually a lot of guys that used to play JV back then would actually eventually at some point in their career come and help the varsity. So I was put on the varsity in the fall,
Of your
freshman year at Eastern.
wow,
Spring comes, go down south, and that was the first national championship team. And
so that was '82.
yeah,
Yeah.
I got an at bat in the first game. I hit a double off the bench, and then I started getting my way into the lineup. And then we came back up north, and I found myself in the starting lineup as the only freshman in left field.
And Eastern's a big time baseball program for D3 or even
Well,
national.
back then
Back then, that's right. Nobody really knew about Eastern.
Boy, back then nobody wanted to play us because like UConn wouldn't play us. But UConn has done a phenomenal job. Don't get me wrong.
That's right. I remember being like 10 years old and hearing that
Yeah.
UConn didn't want to play Eastern.
Because they were Yankee Conference and they only had like one scholarship, and a lot of kids, guys that I went to school at Eastern with, I want to say in the 4-year period of guys that I played with.
Name some of those guys because you had a lot. The teams were loaded.
Well, let's
Harris?
see. There was Dennis Glenn from New London was our captain, second baseman, played for the Mets. Tommy Reynolds was our captain, third baseman, played for the Braves.
Wayno probably remembers all these
Yeah.
guys too. Yeah.
Jeff Brewer from Rutland, Vermont, was a pitcher, played for the Cubs. Mark Pottinger, who was a freshman like myself, played for the Phillies. I played for the Expos. There was probably, I want to say, 8 or 9 guys that were drafted in that group of that era. My actual 4-year span, I don't know if it's been broken, but my 4-year span was the winningest 4 years in the history at Eastern for baseball.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
Because that team, I mean, that was early on in the. How many years was all right? The '82 title, the
Yep.
'82 championship team. How many years at How many years at Hallowell had he already been there? Off the top of your head, he'd already been there a bunch of years. Right?
Yeah, he probably was there in like the late 60s, I think. Maybe,
Late 60s?
I think 69, 70.
Okay, so it goes back that far.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he actually coached Coach Wojcik, the third base coach, was one of his outfielders.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Coach Holloway, the story with him, from what I understand, is he went to UConn to play basketball, we all know.
Yep.
He was supposed to come down to Eastern to take the boys' basketball job, and apparently I think it was maybe Dr. Miller. Somebody else got the basketball job, and the baseball job didn't have a coach.
So that landed in his lap.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember that story.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So back to the Eastern UConn thing. Back in your early days there, a lot of those kids you're about to say probably had a chip on their shoulder. They wanted to play UConn, right? And UConn won no business with
Yeah, I
Eastern.
mean, if you think about it, when I was a senior in high school, when they turned the lights on at Eastern, at Alumni Field,
yeah.
I was there. And the first game they played was against North Carolina Tar Heels.
Oh, was that the first game?
Yep.
What was that? And they're D1.
Yeah, yeah. In my
You guys
time,
win?
I want to say, I think that Eastern beat them once and lost to them twice. I think they played a 3-game series. During my years at Eastern, we went to the University of Kentucky my sophomore year after we won it to play in a tournament for our spring trip, and we beat the Maryland Terrapins.
Wow.
We played Xavier, a doubleheader. So we always played. There wasn't a lot of D3 schools back then, and there was no Little East.
What was your? I got to squeeze in a bunch of questions here, and I want to talk. Might go a little over. So I want to talk a little London boys basketball. But
Yep.
favorite. Give me a quick Holowati story. A quick Holowati story if you can, and then your favorite career highlight playing for ECSU, and then. Well, we'll just do those first. You got a good Holowati story for us?
Oh, there's a lot of them. I don't know if they can be on the air though. No, he was just a resilient guy that just competed, and he was a perfectionist, and it was something that it was terrific to be around, because you just to see somebody with so much enthusiasm that wanted I mean, that guy. We used to go up there in the summertime and take BP. Me and a couple of my buddies, and the sprinklers would be on. We'd put the cage out, and he'd come up there, and he'd be grooming the field, and he would never kick us off the field. He would say, "Just make sure you guys put the stuff back." So he was a great ambassador for the school and the game of baseball. He was just he put a lot into that school and in that program.
Favorite Eastern moment, those 4 years. Now, you won a lot. I'm sure there's a ton of highlights. Pick one that you...
I mean, obviously winning the national championship was phenomenal, the first one ever.
Well, you won a couple more there, right? Or you just won?
We won that one, and in my sophomore year, we went back to Marietta and we lost. We came in like third or fourth. Actually, my last at bats that season were against Terry Mulholland.
Terry Mulholland.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yep.
Oh my God. All right, so 82 is your favorite highlight there. Now,
I mean, no, but then my senior year, and this is when I broke my finger. Came back from California, and I was hitting like close to 500 with like 8 or 9 homers and 40 RBI or something crazy, and I was just really on fire. And playing against Brown University, I was going to steal, and I dove back into first base. So they tried to pick me off, and my bone came through.
Oh.
And I missed 27 games. I still became an All-American that year, but that I do still hold the record at the school, tied with 3 home runs in a game, but I have 10 RBIs in a game against Bridgeport.
I'm glad we're getting this in. Who you share that with, that home run record?
There's a bunch of us that have
Really?
three in a game.
Boy, Holowati has some great players.
Yeah.
If we had more time, we'd run down some of the, like, I know you mentioned Stan Harris, Luciani. I mean, just the list goes on and on. Talk a little about getting drafted and how that all happened, and how long did you go there?
Well, the guy that drafted me was with the Pirates previously, and he had been watching me, and he had said if he was with the Pirates in this area when I was a junior, probably would have took me. But back then, I don't know if the rule still pertains this way, but you had to be 21 or a junior.
All right.
And then, so obviously my finger didn't help my situation, so I dropped a few rounds. But yeah, I got signed by the Expos, and I went to, short season A, played with Randy Johnson.
Did you?
Yeah, he was on my team.
Got any, did you get to know him a little?
Yeah, Mark Gardner.
Mark Gardner,
pitched
yeah.
for the Giants. And actually, Larry Walker was the first baseman
Wow.
on the team that I came to the previous year. And he got shipped to an independent team to learn how to play outfield because I kind of took his spot. Which I'm not. Obviously, he's going to have a Hall of Fame career, but it was great to know these type of people and play. Like I played against Moises Alou.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys.
What was the big unit like back in the day? Back in his
Couldn't
real...
throw a strike.
Really?
No, he threw
Was
hard.
he pretty
though.
quiet in the clubhouse?
Yeah, he was a California guy, so I mean, he used to listen to his Ocean Waves and on his Walkman, and kind of kept to himself. He liked a lot of photography. Nice guy, but just very quiet by himself.
Became a Yankee later.
Yeah.
Was a Yankee fan. That's probably... Holowati have any influence in you being a Yankee fan?
No.
All right, let's get to Wyndham Boys basketball. I wish we had more time with you, but we're just glad we got you in here. All right, so 2022
Yep.
had to be just a dream season. I'm glad I got to be a part of it, Dan. It was an honor to host the celebration over there on the Shabu stage. Take us through the championship year of 2022 and how that all came to be.
I mean, obviously we had Travis transferred. Went out to score 1,400 plus points in 2 years. But all these kids, it was a great group of kids. They came together. We had some adversity with the COVID at the beginning and all that, and then we just got on a little run. And
Because you guys started out kind of slow for
we were 0-2.
Yeah.
We lost the first 2 games by like 40 points each because we had missing kids. We missed like the whole starting lineup. There was kids that played in those first 2 games that played varsity for me that were freshmen that didn't make the team the next year.
Wow.
Yeah. There was a lot of kids who were out with COVID. I mean, it was bad. That was...
So what part of the year in 2022 did you all of a sudden feel like, ooh, this team may be turning the corner here?
I mean, once we went through that COVID spell at the beginning, and then we started winning some games just because we had a little more talent. But then as the season got going on, I want to say probably mid-season, we just started to gel as a unit. And I mean, we had guys that had roles, and just guys knew what their role was, and it was just phenomenal. I mean, look at a kid like Malcolm, was a freshman that I didn't even expect to probably contribute as a varsity player, and he hits 5 threes in the state finals.
Wow, unbelievable. Well, that goes to, it's a testament to you. You're a great coach, great leader, and you've made these kids leaders. And let's talk a little about the 2024 team. Well, going into 20, that's what you call the 2024.
Yep.
Goes into 25.
Yep.
What can we expect? Quick preview on the on this year's Whips roster.
Well, we should be pretty decent. We have a tough schedule. It's all what the kids put into it. I mean, we have Malcolm coming back, going to be a 1,000-point scorer. One of my guys, close to my heart, I think, is done with football. Julian Cruz. I hope not. And we have some kids, a couple other seniors that are going to be, keys. Good sophomore class, and we have, a big junior. We do have a little bit of size this year. I mean, somewhat. Got a few guys over 6'3", maybe. But we haven't really had that at Wyndham since I've been here. There's never really been a big. But we have a very tough schedule. We play everybody. Is going to be tough. You got Wyndham Tech's going to be good. Amistad, Coventry. I don't know what they have coming back, but they went to the finals last year. And then our league, we have Fitch. We play NFA, New London, Waterford, St. Bernard's, Woodstock. So it's not. And Killingly's very good. So it's going to be a very.
When's the first game of the season?
First game, I want to say, is the 17th. Our first practice is the 5th.
Okay, so it's coming up.
Yeah.
And then, do you know what? I know we don't have the schedule for us.
I
Do you know what opening
believe,
night is?
I believe we're
Wyndham?
playing New London.
Is that a home game?
Not sure, because the last time I looked at the schedule, they were making some changes.
Okay.
But,
Well, we'll be sure to get behind you and look
and
forward to
the new gym, have you been up to see that?
Wait a minute. I knew there was oh, wait. I was up there when they just honored. I was up there. Thad, yes.
It's beautiful.
Oh my God.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
They did a nice job with the whole school.
Yeah, and boy, the football field and all that, and
the baseball field.
yeah, jeez.
Have you seen that?
I don't think I've seen
It's
that.
done. You should go up and look at it.
Oh my God! Well, tell you, Wyndham Sports, there's nothing like it.
Yep.
And again, thanks for good to see you Thursday night.
Thank you.
At Trolley Pub Trivia, we got him in here, do Hometown Threads for episode 87. Coach Paul Martineau, and good luck. And I want to talk to maybe getting you on our Sports Bar show, which is coming up. But we're going to do a high school basketball preview. I'll talk to you about that in a sec. Coach Paul Martineau, our guest for episode 87 of Hometown Threads. Of course, Wyndham Boys Basketball Championship coach in 2022. Show the ring again for the people watching. Gotta get close up. Oh, look at that ring. It's beautiful. Thank you to Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind. Thank you to J. Matt Rupar. And in the words of the great Roddy McCumber.
Bye for now, folks. Bye for now.
And that concludes another edition of Hometown Threads. Got a story for Keith? Reach out to him on Facebook by searching Keith C. Rice. Or email him at krice@hallradio.net. Don't forget to tune in next week on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM, as well as the Willimantic Today page on Facebook.